Alright, we have something immersive to share today, courtesy of the folks at Sony. It's the PlayStation VR2, and as the name suggests, it's a VR experience tailor-made for the PlayStation 5. Not only that, but they have also kindly provided some titles for us to take a crack at, namely the new Horizon Call of the Mountains, among several others. So here are our thoughts. To start things off, let's talk a little bit about the design. Those already familiar with the original PlayStation VR will find a similar aesthetic for this newest iteration. It's so similar that if you painted the VR2's front portion white, you'll probably be unable to tell them apart. Jokes aside, the VR2 mostly rehashes the same headset design and adjustment mechanism as the original. In addition, the front part of the headset now houses 4 cameras for tracking functions, and the lens inside is also kitted with IR cameras for individual eye tracking, which is actually quite reliable in our usage. The OLED panels within the headsets are set at 2000 by 2040 pixels per eye, and the interpupillary distance can also be adjusted using a manual dial. Back to the adjusting mechanism. It's pretty straightforward. You press the button on the band to loosen it and tighten it back for a better fit. However, my colleague and I did find that the headset tended to droop down during gameplay, which caused quite a bit of chromatic aberrations to appear within the visuals itself. Then again, if the headband design suits your head, then there's probably nothing to worry about. But unfortunately for us, we had to constantly push the headset up during gameplay. Kind of like a pair of spectacles that doesn't like to sit still on your nose. The VR2 can also be only used while tethered to the PS5 using a long cable that comes attached to the headset out of the box. The headset doesn't have speakers built in, but Sony has included an appropriately measured pair of earbuds that connects to the headset in a manner that's not really that intrusive, so it's pretty neat. It uses a 3.5mm jack, so if you don't mind the hassle of tangling cables, there's the option for you as well, but we'll just stick to the one provided since we already have the main cable to really worry about. Speaking of cable, this may be a potential deal breaker for some of you. On one hand, being tethered means there's little to no latency, and you can expect visuals of higher fidelity, yet on the other hand, being wireless does really grant you that freedom of movement. The list really goes on, but while the wire can be annoying sometimes, we think it's a fair trade-off considering the VR2 doesn't run fans and dissipate heat audibly as wireless capable headsets tend to do. Also, being tethered means that you can play for hours on end without worrying about the batteries running out mid-game, which in turn translates to a slightly lighter headset. Speaking of batteries, while you needn't worry about it for the headset, you do need to charge them for the controllers. Sony has ditched the Move controller from the original PSVR for their own take on a very more typical VR controller with ring guard designs and slanted grips. The buttons are also more tactile compared to the DualSense 5, and the overall controller feels a little bit more plasticky, but it's understandable for a controller that you'll be waving around for hours. The controllers charge and pair through an extremely inconspicuous USB-C port, which you'll actually easily miss. But other than that, there's little to add here, so let's move on to the setup, which my colleague will share more as he did spend quite a little bit more time with the PSVR2. So, over to you, Bryan.
Thanks, Kai Hong. Hey guys, so the setup is pretty straightforward. Whatever you usually see on your monitor or TV when using the PS5 will be projected on the headset when wearing it. Not only is it easy to follow, but it's also detailed in the steps to take with graphics to help visualize everything. You can actually grab the headset out of the box and plug it straight into the PS5 as the setup starts from connecting the earbuds, teaching you how to adjust the headsets, pairing controllers and everything in between until you reach the usual PS5 home menu. For starters, the home menu, along with any non-VR titles, will be displayed in cinematic mode as a little floating screen within your PSVR headset. You can watch YouTube or even play your usual PS5 games using the VR2 on a pair of DualSense 5, which is what I did for Hogwarts Legacy. Good game by the way. But of course, a VR headset has to play VR games, so I've been living as Reyes for the past weekend in Horizon Call of the Mountain. And if you're a Horizon fan, this is undoubtedly a VR experience you want to try. With action-oriented gameplay revolving around fighting machines with bow and arrow, like Aloy, except you'll probably miss more shots due to the clunky VR controls. There's also climbing involved, so if you ever wondered what it feels like being Nathan Drake or Ezio, there you go. Without diving into spoiler territory at all, Call of the Mountains is generally straightforward and can be completed within 6 to 7 hours. Perhaps longer if you spend a lot of time admiring the vast sceneries and such. Again, if you are invested in the Horizon series and have the opportunity to try Call of the Mountain out, you won't be disappointed. However, it will probably feel like a generic VR action game for the rest of you, albeit with robot dinosaurs. The PlayStation VR2 will be available at the end of February at 869 Singapore dollars for the standard version and 939 Singapore dollars for the one with Horizon Call of the Mountain bundled in. And yes, it's pretty pricey, you and me both. But for that price, it is a seamless transition into VR gaming for PS5 owners with no fuss. You also get to keep all your games under your PlayStation Network account, which might be the more comfortable option for some users as compared to say MetaQuest or Pico Store. But ultimately, the VR headsets produced by the latter two are more affordable compared to the PSVR 2, so it really depends on whether you are going for value or the ecosystem. So, what do you think? That was our take on the PSVR 2. And if you like what we do, give this video a like and subscribe to us for more of such content. Don't forget to follow us on all our social channels such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. And we'll see you in the next one. Cheers!